The twin-engine Boeing 757 is scheduled to land in Cali, Colombia, just in time for the holidays.
Hello everybody, happy 4th of July. We're going to hit you up with another presidential election. This one, the election of 1944, World War II is upon us. Now with the Great Depression over, who's going to win this election? Let's find that out right now. Now we're going to start off with the incumbent party, and that is the Democrats. FDR, the incumbent president, winning in 1932, winning a second term in 1936, and winning an unprecedented third term in 1940. And he was the popular wartime incumbent. The United States have been involved in World War II at this point for 3 years. After the attack on Pearl Harbor by Japan on December 7th, 1941. But many Southern Democrats distrusted FDR's racial policies. But he did bring enormous war activities to the region, and the end of its marginal status was in sight. But nonetheless, some pro-segregationist delegates tried to unite behind Harry F. Byrd, a senator from Virginia, but Byrd refuses to actively campaign against FDR, and FDR is easily renominated at the Democratic National Convention for a fourth term as president. FDR from New York. Now, by 1944, there was an obvious decline in FDR's physical appearance and in his health. So this led many delegates and party leaders to strongly oppose his vice president, Henry A. Wallace, for a second term. And this opposition came especially from Catholic leaders in big cities and labor unions. Wallace was regarded by most conservatives as being too left-wing and personally eccentric to be next in line for the presidency. He even performed so poorly as economic coordinator that FDR had to remove him from the post. So numerous party leaders privately sent word to FDR that they would fight Wallace's renomination as vice president and instead proposed a moderate and Senator Harry S. Truman of Missouri. Truman became highly visible as the chairman of a Senate wartime committee investigating fraud and efficiency in the war program. Now, FDR, he personally liked Wallace. If you remember from the last election, Wallace was an outspoken liberal. But in order to preserve party unity, he accepted Truman onto the ticket. Although many delegates voted for Wallace on the first ballot for vice president, the nomination on the second ballot would go to Truman. So that we have our Democratic ticket of FDR and Harry S. Truman. Let's go to the Republicans. Now, the Republicans going into the Republican National Convention putting out their slate of candidates up for nomination. The governor of New York, Thomas C. Dewey. The governor of Ohio, John W. Bricker. Illinois Congressman Everett Dirksen. Douglas MacArthur of New York, who was the commander, the Allied commander in the Pacific during World War II. Harold Stassen of Minnesota, the former governor of that state, who resigned to join the Navy. And Wendell Willkie of New York, who was the 1940 Republican nominee for president. At the end of the day, it is going to be Dewey who receives the presidential nomination. He is the leader of the party's moderate Eastern establishment. And to keep unity within the party, he chooses a conservative in Governor Bricker as his running mate. So, now that we have our Democratic ticket of FDR and Truman, and our Republican ticket of governors, Dewey and Bricker, let's head to the campaign trail and see who's going to win this thing. Whoever said dreams can't become a Now, before we get into the campaign, I want to make this known that 1944 was the first presidential election since 1864 that was held during war, during a declared United States war. As of 2016, this is the final election to be held during this time. And the Republicans in Dewey campaigned against the New Deal, seeking a smaller government and less regulated economy as the end of the war seemed in sight. Nonetheless, FDR's continuing popularity was the main theme of the campaign, and the quiet rumors of his poor health. FDR insisted on making a vigorous campaign swing in October of 44 and rode in an open car through city streets. A high point of the campaign occurred when FDR, speaking to a meeting of labor union leaders, gave a speech carried on national radio in which he ridiculed Republican claims that his administration was corrupt and wasteful with tax money. He particularly ridiculed a Republican claim that he had sent a U.S. Navy warship to pick up his Scottish Terrier Fala in Alaska. Scottish Terrier's type of dog, by the way, noting that Fala was furious at such rumors. The speech was met with loud laughter and applause from labor leaders. Meanwhile, in response to that, Dewey gave a blistering bipartisan speech in Oklahoma City a few days later on national radio, in which he accused FDR of being indispensable to corrupt big city Democratic organizations and American communists. He also referred to members of FDR's cabinet as a motley crew. But however, battlefield successes in Europe and the Pacific during the campaign, as the Second World War is still going on, such as the liberation of Paris in August of 1944, which had the Allies closing in on Nazi Germany, and the successful Battle of Leyte Gulf in the Philippines in October of 1944, that allowed the United States to take control of the Philippines back from Japan, and it was getting the Americans closer and closer to Japan itself, made FDR unbeatable, or did it? Let's get to those results right now. FDR making history in 1940. He is going to make it in 1944 once again. FDR wins an unprecedented fourth term as president. He will serve not one, not two, not three, but four, count them, 4 terms as the United States' 32nd president. And this is actually one of his worst performances of his 4 presidential bids, but it's a win nonetheless. 432 electoral votes for FDR and the Democrats, while Dewey and the Republicans pick up 99 electoral votes. This is also the closest of FDR's 4 presidential bids. 36 states end up voting for FDR and the Democrats, while 12 states end up voting for Dewey and the Republicans. 53.4% of the popular vote going to FDR and the Democrats, 45.9% of the popular vote going to Dewey and the Republicans. And FDR, unfortunately for FDR, his health gets to him. He's not going to finish his 4th term, but World War II will finish. And we'll see why that is, along with why FDR wasn't able to finish his 4th term in the election in 1948, which we'll talk about next time. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. 4 terms. I don't know if I want to serve 4 terms as President of the United States. Unfortunately, with the 22nd Amendment, I can't. But nonetheless, awesome that we had a president that stayed in that long. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you got a lot out of it. If you haven't seen any of my previous videos, go ahead and watch those if you want. And with that, we will see you next time, and happy 4th of July.